Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Back at you and Gloves Off. I'm Paul Buitron. I'm here with my brother from Ireland, Sifu Fanning. How we doing, my brother? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm doing better now. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Let's touch base for folks to kind of understand how the martial arts and everything, all that culture is in Ireland. Maybe it's a little bit different. Things change, so we'll start off with the first thing. How'd you get involved with the martial arts?
Well, as I told you before, I was one of the lucky ones. I got to be born into martial arts. My father started Kung Fu in 1960. 1972, he opened his first school. And 1976, I was born. At the time, we were living in a 3-bedroom house, and we had 12 students. My mother, my father, and myself, all living in a 3-bedroom house. So we had full-time students who were very dedicated, very willing, very eager guys to train and learn. And, it was a good time. Late 70s, early 80s was a good time for martial arts back then,
What were the main martial arts that were around in Ireland back then?
Well, we had Kempo, Ed Parker Kempo here at the time, run by 3 guys in Dublin City. We had a lot of karate. We had a lot of jiu-jitsu, judo, kung fu. The kung fu my father was teaching was the only kung fu at the time in Ireland. Then obviously the Bruce Lee era kicked in, and people started to know what kung fu was, and we had the onset then of some other kung fu systems coming in from the UK and from the US. So, but it was predominantly.
Go ahead.
I was predominantly kung fu, kempo, and karate at the time.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of folks don't understand that the UK, of course, Hong Kong at the time, a lot of stuff from a lot of different styles, or a lot of Chinese styles are seen in the UK and in Ireland in comparison to the United States. Or, they were a little bit closer to the source, I guess.
Yeah, I think even my dad's masters at the time, they were working for the Chinese food importers, and they imported all the chopsticks, the bowls, the spoons, and they were supplying the Chinese restaurants who were really kicking off at the time here. So there was a lot of mixed culture, I suppose, but it was very unseen. And now Dublin is so diverse and multicultural. But again, at that time, it was kind of if you were doing kung fu, everybody pretty much knew who you were doing kung fu with. And if you were doing jiu-jitsu, you knew who you were doing it with. So. Absolutely.
And what's the name of the style that you do? Where did it actually originate?
Well, the history I was given on it was that it's Ming Chuan is the name of it. It originated somewhere around the 12th century. It's documented back that far. It was originally a bodyguard system. It was designed solely as a last line of defense for the emperor. So the history was very, very broad on it, but it was there was a lot of, the Chinese had a great way of keeping secrets, as you know. But it came down to the story goes that there was a lot of masters were pulled into one camp, if you like, and the top masters from each system were given a job to teach the bodyguard what they knew and to make the best of what they knew. And that all filtered back out then, and it came to Ireland eventually,
Absolutely. So it's a northern system, or is it southern?
Northern system. And it's funny, throughout the years of learning and trying to piece together some of the history, because again, unfortunately, with secrets, the internet now has given me the option of trying to chase down some of our previous masters, and some people don't want to talk about them, most others do. There was a lot of stuff, obviously after political stuff, there was a lot of hidden, and a lot of history got lost, I suppose, too.
Absolutely. In today's world, you see the martial arts kind of change, and the martial arts are always meant to be, not only do they develop the martial skills, the fighting skills of pugilism in a person, but also there's a lot of health benefits in in training in the martial arts. And you see that a lot closer to the Chinese systems, the Japanese systems, more the Oriental systems than you do with Western pugilism, even though it exists. Health-wise, what are the benefits within that you can say? What can you talk about?
My father was my main master in all my martial arts history, and the beautiful part was he practiced Chinese medicine.
Okay.
So part of his teaching was, in order to heal or to hurt somebody, you had to be able to heal them too. So for every blow, you had to be able to heal that blow, or set a bone. Basically, in training, when you were doing full contact sparring and full contact fighting, if you had somebody got injured, you had to be able to help them. Before you called for an ambulance or before you called for medical help, you kind of assess the situation. But my father always had acupuncture needles. He always had herbs. He always had, so down to simple things like I was born with a, it's not asthma, it's called croup. So when foggy, misty weather used to come in, I used to get almost like an asthma wheeze. And he always had his herbs on hand, and he always had his needles on hand. And it would last for a couple of minutes, and then it would go again. Eventually, I was lucky enough I grew out of it. But the health benefits in terms of what he was teaching was, in order to, so not just to do extended amount of physical workouts to become fitter, to be a better fighter, you also have to do qigong to help improve your lung capacity, your overall breath capacity. Because if you could breathe longer than the guy facing you in the ring or on the floor, you always kind of went that bit further,
Absolutely, the conditioning. Absolutely, you see a lot of that type of conditioning in the West. You see a lot of running. You see a lot of footing. You see a lot of that type of sprinting. That type of conditioning, round after round, to build up the air circulation in your lungs for people not to tire out. And there's some other things, but you really didn't see, how can I say, like the herbs or the medicine as per se, and connected to the arts like Savate.
Mhm.
They say in the past there used to be certain professors that used to take that. You're talking about pre-World War One, World War Two, and all that was lost right after World War Two. So that kind of took a different toll. But how would you say, for somebody that's out there looking for the health benefits of the arts and they can't find it, how can you? And now the internet, like you said, is wide open. What's the easiest way one can do it now?
It is all about finding out what's local. I've always used my school was word of mouth. Okay, I use social media a little bit just to help keep the school in the public eye, but word of mouth, if you had somebody who came to you and they felt good after training session, they went home, they felt like they got value for money, number one, they actually felt good. I've had guys come to the school, I'm sure you have too, where they've had a stressful day, they've had, maybe an argument at home, whatever, something's happened, and they come in. And my master was always a pure believer that the second you walked through the doors of the school, you were free. It was for you. You were no longer, a husband, a father. You were no longer a mother, a sister, a brother. You were you, and you were there to train for you. So now the health benefits, if you could do that and switch off and understand that you were there for you, the health benefits are huge. And I always tell everybody when they call or they ask about a school or a class, what do you want? Do you want to just learn how to be, the guy who goes to kickboxing class or kung fu class, or do you want to be the guy that drives to the gym to walk on a treadmill?
Absolutely.
It's specific to each individual person, but in a whole, traditional martial arts, I think, have taken a hammering for a long time. And with the introduction of MMA, Krav Maga, all this kind of stuff. But now traditional is coming back, and I think even when you look at learning why you do the move, learning how to do the move, if you breathe correctly while you do the move, they all actually add to the benefits of what you're doing. And it's peace of mind, it's your health, it's, as where you're breathing and your blood is pumping, you're obviously healthier, you're working towards that goal.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. And in today's world, especially with what's going on with the Wuhan flu, is that a lot of individuals are so scared. And Texas is open, the businesses are open, and in the last month we've lost so many students just because of the fear factor that's out there. Now they're coming out with a new variant and all this other stuff, and this other variant that's coming out. And people are so scared that they have to, how can I say, live life. Have to understand that, if you start fearing everything that's going on there, it's going to take a toll on you. You have to stand up and say, you know what? And that's what martial arts do. Not only the health benefit of the art, but that's what martial arts do mentally. It gives you that self-confidence to stand up to certain situations.
I know Texas was quite open throughout the whole flu season. Ireland has been in a constant lockdown, and we're still in lockdown at the moment until possibly October 22nd, which will be mid flu season annually anyway. So
Right.
schools have been closed. So December 24th, the government told us that we had to close schools, and we haven't been allowed open since. Now, in a gray area, we have the fact that I am not a dance school and I'm not a fitness class. I'm actually part of the arts. I'm a martial art. So I have had that little gray area where I can teach people. When it comes to it, people have been locked up inside. I've had people outside in a green area outside my house. We've been doing pad work, we've been doing qigong, we've been doing stretching, things that people were sitting at home not doing. And the hardest part is when they break a habit. So they've been coming to a school maybe twice a week for an hour, but it became a habit that they do it. And if they don't do it, they feel, oh, I missed class this week. What did I miss? Whereas now we've kind of got this thing where they're sitting at home, they're watching TV. It's an effort to get back up. And more, because I do alternative therapies as well and Chinese medicine, I'm doing, reflexology, I'm doing bits and pieces, everything. Once it comes to Chinese medicine, helping the body, I'm going to try and do it, But it's more and more people. Flexibility is their issue. Movement is key. And martial art, if you put martial arts into every school in America or every school in Ireland, we would have so many kids who are more flexible, more agile, more energy. And it's trying to get that across the parents, because at the end of the day, kids want to train, kids want to have fun, but parents got to pay the bills. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
what I'm finding.
And that's what you see. A lot of people have been locked down, have been cooped up at their house. They're afraid to go out. And when they do go out, right, they lose the constraint of the masks and everything else, and they just go wild. They stop the safety precautions. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what happens when you're locked up? You go into depression as well. Last year we helped out so many folks, especially small business owners here when they first started, when we were first locked down, that I was sending them to folks that were counselors for a local depression center, for against suicide and stuff like that, because a lot of folks were very suicidal back then. A lot of individuals lost their livelihood, lost their businesses. They closed down. They don't know what to do, and it's still going on. So I think this is an alternative to get this out and help them out a little bit better.
Yeah. No, but again, like that, it's even my own mother. Like, she's 65 this year. She's gonna kill me for saying that, but she's 65 this year. She had been doing a job delivering blood to neonatal wards, so for kids. And where she'd always been so active before, her job was locked down. She was in a lockdown. She was stuck at home. She took this part-time work driving, but it was long hours. It was driving state to state here in Ireland. But now she's got a different job. She's back doing physical work. And for the first week, she was absolutely crippled with her back. So again, she said it to me. She goes back to some of the stretching exercises that my father taught her 45 years ago. And it's only simple little things. And then people, I was talking to other people as well. Simple qigong exercises, simple movement exercises. You look at how many people are still practicing Tai Chi.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Tai Chi has been through the mill as well, because it became so commercialized that everybody was teaching Tai Chi and the benefits, but people became disillusioned with it then too, because they forgot what they were going for. It wasn't just their $90 or €90. They didn't realize they were going for a reason. So I think that kind of happened too,
Sure. And I think putting folks back to understand the reason they're doing it is the reason
Yeah.
some of these schools are there. And I'm with you. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. I saw a video of you the other day that you were breaking. You're a champion on breaking, aren't you?
Yeah.
How'd you get him? Well, I know how you got involved in it through the martial arts, but tell us a little bit about the competitions and stuff.
There's a fantastic story behind my journey in competitive breaking. So the art I've learned, every single grading, it requires breaking. So there is no grade inside the system that doesn't require breaking of concrete or wood, and it's quite extensive. But my brother, who started out training with me a long time ago when we were kids, but he was more into his electronics and stuff, so he went that way, and I stayed on the arts. But he was on YouTube one day and came across a guy called Senior Master Drew Serrano, and he was doing a creative breaking routine. And my brother seen it and said, got so excited, he rang me. He said, "Come see this. You have to see this. You have to see this." So I dropped in. He showed it to me on YouTube. Automatically, I sent a message to Drew Serrano and Ralph Bergman, Grandmaster Ralph Bergman of the USBA, and I said, "Listen, guys, I love what you do. I think I can do it. Can I come and try?" So I think that was April 2007. In July 2007, I arrived in Orlando at the US Open, met all these guys, got up on stage, broke with the best of the best. And, it's been an ever ongoing thing since. It's hard for me to get to the US all the time. But since 2016, I think I've been going 4 or 5 times a year. And then obviously with the lockdown, I couldn't go because restrictions on travel. But I'm so, when I get out there, all I want to do is break. I've met some of the nicest and best people I've ever met out there. One guy quite close to you, Chip Townsend. He's Abilene, Texas. You got Larry Fields. There's a lot of guys out there. I've met them. I've competed with them. We broke bread afterwards. We sat. We had a drink, a coffee, whatever. So it's been an ongoing thing. But yeah, I love it. It gives such satisfaction. I've been in the ring. I've been on the stage. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm not going to mention the individual's name, but we went to, next to us, the big city is called San Antonio. We're in Laredo. We're about 150 miles away. And I was going to school in Dallas at the time. And my dad had a crew that used to work out in San Antonio, did some sabat, and we used to go back and forth. Well, anyway, he says, "You know what? They're working out at this martial arts school, and the guy's going to have a demonstration, and can you come down?" I said, "Sure." I was 18, 19 maybe, and I drove down there with a friend of mine, and we met him there, and it was going to be in this flea market that had an auditorium, okay, and they were going to be doing demonstrations of all kinds of stuff, from dancing to martial arts, and we're going to do one. And the owner of the school was going to break. He had a record of breaking ice. So the night before, they had a big block, and they were drilling a hole on one side. They were drilling holes, lateral holes this way,
Yeah.
I guess that when you hit it, it crumbles up, right? So, so I was before the whole thing, and they had it sitting down in the back, a big block of ice. And I guess what happened was that it was still so cold, and they had just broken it, that it melted solid. Okay? The holes, instead of being left the hole, or it wasn't frozen enough, that
Yeah,
they made the hole stayed. They literally melted solid back again.
yeah.
So I'm sitting down there looking at Henning come out there, and I'm going out there, and when he went through, and we didn't do we. Let me put it to you this way: we did not do our demonstration, because as soon as he hit him with that elbow, his radius went one way, and the ulna stuck out,
Hmm.
and everybody kind of just like went like ooh, and I was like, and we spend a couple of hours in the emergency room.
I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it.
But it happens, it happens, and people need to understand that sometimes there's people that do break them solid, and there's people that cheat, and when you cheat, it happens, things occur.
You know, one of the downfalls, I suppose, YouTube is great for a lot of reasons.
Sure.
For a lot of reasons, it's also very bad because, okay, I'm carrying a few pounds. Not gonna lie about it. I'm not a skinny guy. I've never been a skinny guy. I've always, even at my fighting weight, I was 75 kilograms. I don't know what that is in pounds, but anyway, about 170 pounds when I was fighting. So I was always big. But we put up a video one time. It was this new break I just done, and everybody was so, oh, well done. That's a great break. And one guy comes up and he goes, yeah, we've got a fat guy at our club that can break too. What can you say? Okay, thank you. I didn't have a complex about my weight, but I kind of do now. But there's a lot of fakes out there. Again, people have criticized me. People have said it's baked, it's broken already. It is what it is. People will always comment.
And it's good to see folks that are doing it correctly. Understand what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of, and folks need to understand that in the martial arts, there's a lot of shenanigans going on.
Yeah, unfortunately. But one of the best compliments I got, it was 2014. We hosted a huge Sanda competition here in Ireland, and the head of the European and International Wushu Federation, he came over. Guy called Hank for sure. Really nice guy. Actually, you without hair, believe it or not. He's a nice guy. But he watched the demonstration I put on, and he gave me a great compliment afterwards. He said, Keith, I've been all over the world. I've been to every kind of show you could imagine. He said, I've seen breaking of all types. He said, and you were the first one I can honestly say has done the real breaking. He said, you didn't put on a show. You just broke what you broke. You said, thank you, and you walked away. So it was one of the things that let me down, I suppose, when I was in the US doing the creative breaking, because I didn't know how to put on a show. I don't have the hype. I just break things, but when you break them and you break them easily, it makes it look, well, was it real? Was it not real? But then the people who know, and they're in the know, and they've trained long enough, they understand, look, this guy's put in the time, he's put in the effort. That's why it looks good.
I saw what you did on that video, and I said, that he's trained.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's just the way it is. He's trained. And people need to understand that for whatever part of the martial arts that you go into, you have to train for it. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Whether you're going to go into breaking, you have to train for that. If you're going to go into forms, you better go into forms. But all those sections, all those little different selections of the martial arts, people need to understand. You need basics. You need somebody that's going to teach you. You need somebody that's going to coach you through it. And then after that, then you know everything going forward, and just continue going forward and training. And a lot of people don't do that. They want to get from, I went to the school and I became the master, but they don't want to train anymore. And people have to put in their time now.
But it's funny. I've said to people before, and one of the guys, he's one of my biggest competitors in the USBA out there in Connecticut, a guy called Daniel Payton. We have an ongoing rivalry. He's the princess, I'm the pumpkin. We trash talk a little bit. We have a bit of fun, but we've competed against each other since 2015. And I pulled off the break. I think you've seen where I put the block on its edge.
On its edge,
so
yeah.
I had been practicing so much for that one, and I pulled it off in a setting in Connecticut one night. And he went home and he thought, wow, that looks so impressive. I want to try it. And he emailed me. He said, dude, he said, I just had to break in my hand. I said, what? No, seriously, did you break your hand? He said, no, but it feels broken. He said, I tried to do that break you did last weekend. And he said, while I can break, he said, I can't do that kind of stuff. And it was, don't get me wrong, I felt good that he tried it. I felt good that he failed because it showed him that I had put in the work. Unfortunately, though, with social media and people, look, you're always going to have people who criticize you, no matter what. You know, you're too tall, you're too fat, you're too skinny. That's fake. That's not real. You know, if the guy, you know, Kempo, I've seen Kempo taking a huge trashing over here,
Sure.
where when they're doing Kempo techniques, for training, the guy stands and he punches and the guy blocks and he hits him 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Okay, it mightn't be realistic, but you're learning something. That's not what you're going to do in combat, but that's what you're learning in your school to learn how to flow. And when they understand that flow part, but people criticize it so much. Go, who stands like this and lets you hit them 10 times? Nobody. Don't be silly.
You're absolutely correct. You know, and we've had it, and I've seen it in Kempo, and then you start realizing that Kempo teaches not what Kempo actually teaches. Kempo teaches the body reactions of the other person.
Yes.
And the closer you are to the flame, I would say, Parker, the more bone rollers they were. I'm not saying all of them, you know, and you had some guys in Kempo that were very, very dangerous. You have some guys now that are very, very dangerous. And it's just far in between. And you have guys in there that can handle their own. Then you got guys in there like everything else that couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. But at least they're doing and they're trying. And it happens, you know what, when the that diluted essence becomes when they start putting a price on the belt.
Yeah.
And when they start, listen, I've had kids here that have been training with me 5 years, 3 years. They're purples, they're going on blues. Their moms pull them out because the school down the street is giving black belts at a year and a half, you know.
Yeah.
They go over there, sign them up, pay the 3,200. Can they fight? Can they fight? You know, some of these kids, you know, the instructor actually tells them how long have they been with Paul, because as soon as they come over here, they're ready to test for black. At least that's a compliment from my end, you know. It means that, you know, if my a student that's been with me for a year is going to be a black belt somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? So what happens is that before you should take it as an insult. Now I just take it like a grain of salt. How many people really want to learn how to fight? How many people are going to actually use it? How many people are going to be able to actually mentally block it out? You understand the way it is because you've worked on the door and you said, you know, can you turn it off? Can you turn it back on? As we were talking before. All that happens to a person when you go in. You know, I had a conversation with 2 fathers the other day. And one of them said, you know, you're actually, now that I realized, you're actually teaching my son to beat up other people. You can actually say that. Yes, yes. Actually, you know, I don't care what martial art you're teaching, you're actually teaching that person to quail away and maul somebody in the ground. But that's not the essence. The essence is to make them a better person about it. Okay? There's a lot of other benefits that come with that. You know, he's going to be more calm. He's going to think problems through. There's a lot of benefits, side benefits, just because, but how many people can actually do that?
But you know, I see it all the time because I was running the Sanda classes, the Sanda kickboxing classes as well. And again, when I was originally learning the Kung Fu system, the Sanda was part of the Kung Fu system. And then through time, I found that people weren't willing to stay long enough to get through the Sanda to become Kung Fu and learn that way. So I separated them and I created 2 schools. So I had my Sanda school, who were the guys who just wanted to come in, bang pads, learn to competitively fight. And then I had the Kung Fu, the guys who wanted to do the street defense, the breaking and the weapons and stuff. And then they all wanted to fight. You know, the Sanda guys, they all want to fight. They all get so, yeah, I want to fight. Okay. Well, to fight, you need to show me 6 weeks commitment. You need to be here. You need to stick to what I tell you to do, and you got to be able to outdo me when it comes to a training session. And I'm saying, okay. So at the time, like I get on the floor, as I said to you, I'm not a skinny guy, so I'm on the floor. I'm doing all the exercises. I'm doing everything. The guy hasn't shown up. He's been on a party all weekend. You know, he might smoke, whatever. I'm looking at him going, you want to fight this week? And you can't outdo me, an old guy who's out of now, you know, saying I'm 45 this year, but these guys were half my age. I said, you know, when you get hit, you realize what actually happens. It's not sparring. This guy is trying to finish you with one shot, just like Conor McGregor, just like, and I don't like even saying the guy's name because I don't. At the end of the day, Conor's Conor, and he is alone to his own. But these guys are looking up to Conor, and they're saying, I want to do that one shot knockout like he did. And you do realize the guy fighting you is trying to do the exact same thing, you know. And if you're not training to the capacity that guy's training, it's not going to happen. And guys got so disillusioned because I wouldn't let them fight. And, you know, I pulled them from a fight the last minute because if you're not training, you're not fighting. You're not representing me and my school going out there and not being able to last one round, you know, fitness wise. But we've had mothers come to me and say, my little Johnny has been training with you for a year and he's still on his first belt. Yeah, cool. But you're dropping Johnny off to me, and it's more like a crash than it is anything because Johnny doesn't want to pay attention. Johnny doesn't want to be here. And when I finally calm Johnny down and I show him what he has to do, he does it. He does quite well, but then he forgets it. He doesn't practice when he goes home, and he's only here 1 hour a week. So you do go down those roads, and you can kind of get rabbit holed into them too, where you kind of say, I kind of feel sorry for little Johnny because he has been here a year, and maybe you should give him a second belt if he tests okay. But no, you know, it's, do you sell your soul?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. You sell your soul. And now I just kind of like, you know, my wife teaches capoeira, and she's very, very good at it. In Brazil, she has a very great following of women. And here in Laredo, you have no women doing capoeira. You have maybe two moms that come in every so often. And she goes, what happens to the women here? And I go, you have to understand the cultures are different. Number one, over there, everybody knows what capoeira is, number one, and everybody's very fitness oriented. You come to the United States, even though they look like they're fitness oriented, you see all the gold gyms with a bunch of people out there. How many people are actually working out, or most of them are sitting on the rear end, taking selfies or texting somebody else about coming in? So when you go into lifting weights, you have to go to a hardcore gym that's for those guys that are gym rats that are there all the time, you know, and it's kind of, you see it in the muscle and fitness industry. You see all these beautiful gyms, and you go in there, and half the people are just wasting space.
Yeah.
You know, and if you go to one of these bodybuilding gyms, you see everybody there is going to try to help you at least attain something. You know.
Mm. Yeah,
And
but
it
you know,
happens. The dedication. Go.
Sorry, just conversation the other day was with a guy. I'd forgotten all about it, but a guy came to the school and he wanted to learn kung fu. So we let him in, and like that, he came in and he's on his phone, and he put down his phone, and I'd say, we have a rule: unless you need to have your phone on, that you're expecting an emergency call, turn the phone off. It's 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever. You know, just turn off your phone. I won't answer my phone in the middle of class. You know, I've got young kids, but I won't, unless there's something really wrong, I won't answer. Next thing I looked around, the guy was gone missing. I thought, okay, maybe he's in the bathroom. Okay, let's see. But I could smell cigarette smoke. So where's this guy gone? So I went outside the door. Now the school door it was maybe 12 foot from the main door to the actual school door. So you had a reception, 12-foot reception. The guy was standing outside the front door having a cigarette and a can of Coke. I said, what are you doing? He said, I was sweating and I wanted to cool down, and while I'm here, I might as well have a cigarette. I said, well, while you're there, you might as well get your gear and go on home. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny because when you used to train the guys to to fight in the ring. I haven't taken guys to fight in the ring in a long time. And you need to understand your basics. We get guys all the time. You know, they're 40 years old. I'm 53, or they're 35 years old, and they say, you know what? They've never done anything in their life. They see a couple of UFC fights on TV, and they've had a couple of liquid. They've had a bunch of liquid courage, and all of a sudden Monday they want to go inside the ring.
Yeah.
From where? From when? You know, they don't know how to post a jab. They don't know how to block anything. They don't know how to kick. Yet alone, they don't know how to control a movement, well, both either clockwise or counterclockwise. And you're like, when? How?
Yeah.
You know, who? And then they'll tell you, and they'll tell you this. Well, if you don't want to train me down the street, then we'll go down the street, because if they get you hurt, it's on them. It's not going to be on me.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, it's every day. We get it every day. You know, and it's the guy that wants to come in off the street. Because as a sideline from my school, I opened a weights gym, and I had my own little gym. And the guys would come in and they wanted to be Arnold Schwarzenegger tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you know, you got to be realistic. You know, give me something I can work on. Give me a timeline. Give me, you want to lose a couple of pounds, you want to gain a couple of pounds, you want to gain a bit of size, you want to get bigger arms, bigger chest. Give me something to work with. Not give me a photograph of Arnold Schwarzenegger and say I want to be there by the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know, we're in November, and I'm not a magician. It happens, and the guys see me breaking, and they want to break, and they don't realize that they got to go through the stages and the steps. And I didn't get to where I am today by jumping levels.
Absolutely.
I went through the levels. I opened the doors. I trained with different masters. My own master, unfortunately, died 2013, October 13. Massive heart attack. Something that was in his genes. I think the doctor said he got it from his father. But you know, when he died, it wasn't only my master that died; it was my father that died, and the bond that was there wasn't just father-son; it was master-student. So I went looking to some of the guys who he had trained, and some of the guys who had trained alongside him in the 70s, 80s, in Ireland, across everywhere, you know, and to try and take the next step. I wasn't satisfied with the fact that my master was gone and I was stuck.
Absolutely.
To me, I needed to find somewhere I could take a next step. If I'm not learning, if I'm not progressing, I feel like I'm wasting. And some people don't get that. You know, they want to do an online course and be like, at the moment, you can do an online course and become a Krav Maga instructor. I'm not putting down Krav Maga, but there's no way you can become an instructor online. You know, pay $99 and become an instructor. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. You know, in the same way, there's guys out there who tell you for $199 you can learn the first level of iron palm and break a brick. Okay. There's one born every minute, you know what I mean? But it's gonna happen. But when you like you go through the stages and the steps and you work your way up that ladder properly and correctly. Now, obviously, there's always going to be people who are going to jump the ladder quite well because they're gifted, you know. But what was that old saying? You know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. You know, and it's great to see that there's people still out there following the old ways. Glad to see that, brother. And that's the only way we can follow that's the only way we can follow. You know, and we go back to the Kempo side. You know, everybody always says, you know, the worst thing was I was doing a seminar in Colorado for a group, and I was doing a Savat seminar, and I said, you know what, this grandmaster is going to come down. He was one of Ed Parker's students, and one of the guy goes, "Oh, that's a slap art." I go, "Don't tell him slap art, because he's going to tear your jaw out."
Yeah.
He'll tear your jaw out, and he'll leave you right there where you're at.
Yeah. No, listen.
I go, listen. I said, you have to understand what Kempo is, and if you don't understand it, what the purpose of it is, it's kind of hard. You know, it has it all. But again, every martial art has its pros, and every martial art has its cons. I tell this folks with Savant. In Savant, you can become fairly good very quick, just like boxing, but the experience level is not there. So you can think you know something, and you're going to go in the street, you're going to meet somebody who has a little bit more experience than you, which usually happens, and they're going to take you aside and give you a good beating. Um, if you don't understand how to properly use a pivot, you're never going to learn Savant. So it takes time to do that. You have to, how can I say, you have to actually make sure that the mortars correctly, or else it's not going to cement properly, right?
Yeah. No, you
And
look, a good
and the
foundation.
same thing happens, you know. Pardon?
A good foundation, once the person comes in, they learn a foundation. And again, one kid came into me and he said to me, I want to learn MMA. I said, well, come on in, I'll teach you Sanda. Sanda is old MMA, it's just no ground and pound, but it's the same kind of idea. It's a little bit safer to start with. Okay, so he came in, he done one class. And then I met him maybe 3-4 weeks later. I said, you never came back. He said, no, you throw too many jabs. Okay.
You know what, and I like all martial arts, and I love, the jujitsu sides of it and so on and so forth. And I look at people and I say, how come the Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes, you have 50 people on the mat? They don't kick to the legs and they don't punch to the face.
Mhm. Just look, there's so many, without being too opinionated about so many things, there's every art has its place, and every art has its room. And I think, one of the old Chinese masters that I trained under in Chinatown with my father, he said to me, here's your palm. He said, that's you. This is Kempo. This is Kung Fu. He said, we're all trying to go to the same place. We're all trying to get to the center, and we're all trying to become perfect and better people. Just unfortunately, we're all using different paths. But he said the wheel was created a long, long time ago. He said the punch is still a punch and the kick is still a kick. It's how you apply it and how you put it into practice.
Absolutely.
He had so many little anecdotes that were so good, and my father used to laugh at me because I would pay so much attention and I'd be so focused, and it would turn out to be just an anecdote just to wind me up, But it was true. But at the age of 20, I wanted to fight. I wanted to beat everybody. I wanted to be the best of everything. But my father sat me down at the time. I just landed in London, and we sat down, and he said, okay, I want you to give me 5 things. 5 things you really want to do now, that you want to get here, and 5 things you want to. Give me goals. Give me the. So, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to become Sifu. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'd grown up knowing my father was Sifu. Everybody in the town, the village we lived in, knew him as Sifu. They weren't his students, but they thought that was his name. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, okay, so these 4 we can manage this year, no problem. This one's going to take you maybe 20 years. I said, yeah, okay. He said, that's good. He said, as long as you understand there's a long game on this one. I said, that's what I'm telling you. I don't want a quick fix. I want the long game. I want to be the best at what I can be. And then when we figured out that heavy weapons, I really excelled with heavy weapons. I'm short muscle group, so I was built for heavy stuff. And breaking, I excelled. So we didn't forget about any of the other stuff we were doing, but we concentrated a lot on what I was good at. And then he made me, on the off days, he would make me concentrate on the stuff I wasn't so good at. Now, sometimes I wish I had done a little bit more on that side. But the stuff I'm good at is the stuff I'm known for, and it's the stuff that I will excel at, and it's the stuff I'll always try and better myself at. The simple things. We all have our lazy moments. You know what I mean? I should stretch more. I should do this more. But it's traditional. It's old. And somebody once said to me, "How long do you train every day?" I said, if I was to train every day exactly as I was supposed to train, it would take me 4 to 5 hours just to do what I need to do to maintain what I have. But I had to split my schedule to suit my week, to suit my kids, to suit my wife, to suit my job. So I now have to split my routine. But people don't get that part. I think that's what's missing from a lot of martial arts at the moment. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes, they go, they do what they do. They learn a new lock, they learn a new breakaway, whatever. they practice it there and then. Do they practice it in the next class? Not all of them.
No.
They don't follow that track.
That's absolutely correct. You know, I had you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I had you can have individuals here and you put them back and forward. And I go, let's go back to basics. And I'm going to take Adrian Emperado from Gajo Kembo used to say this. He used to say, a man that's hard to beat is a man that's good in his basics.
Correct. Always.
You have to go back to your basics all the time. I get folks all the time, and they come in and they say, in Savate, you have a discipline called lutte parisienne, Parisian grappling. It's not grappling like wrestling. It's grappling. It was a street art. So you couldn't fall down to the ground, because if you go on the ground, you're going to be there. So it has certain locks, it has certain throws, it has certain. There's nothing that you're going to choke out at. It was basically to pull somebody in closer to you to basically maul them a little bit more.
Yeah.
And folks come in and they say, I want to learn lutte parisienne. How can you learn lutte parisienne, which is basically taught at the end, if you guys cannot even do the beginning right?
No.
You can't get it. And I'll show you. I'll do a technique, and then I want you to do it. And I show it to them, and they go, well, we can't do this. But they still ask for it. And you're like, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen.
But just quickly, have you, again, it's not that I have anything against electronics and PlayStations and Xboxes and stuff. One thing I've found is that the people that come to train now, the younger generation especially, you know, they want to get from level A to level K. You know, they want to jump 8 levels just by getting a cheat. What's the cheat? How do I get from there to there? And how do I get to this goal? It's hard to explain to them that it doesn't happen overnight, you know. And I had one guy who came to me and he said to me, I want to be able to do what you do. I said, well, to do what I do, you got to put in 40 years. So I'm sorry, but I've been training since I was 4 years old. I was born into the martial art. This is what I do. This is my life. And he didn't understand that he couldn't come in 1 or 2 classes and learn that. So yeah, like you said, it's how can you learn this one without learning this one? But again, it's how can you learn to jab correctly if your feet in the wrong position?
Absolutely.
You know,
Jab cross correctly, and your feet in the wrong position. Not only that, you want to go in the ring. You can't block a jab. You can't esquive a jab. You cannot even bob and weave a jab. So how do you want to go in the ring? You can't do that. So that's just the way it is. But unfortunately, we are the teachers, and we have to kind of convey that to them. And you will end up with some students that understand that, and we will become good in their way, and others will continue traveling down the road trying to seek whatever they think they can grab.
Yeah.
And to me, I've this is the way I look at it. The door's there. If you want to open and come in and train, we're there for you. We'll help you out. We'll help you achieve. I'm going to help you achieve. I'm not going to be your cheerleader. I'm not going to be your flag waver. I'm going to help you achieve. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people want to come into the school and say, you see, I'm here training, so you all have to be my cheerleader. Understand what I'm saying? No. We're going to make you achieve what you're looking for. If you really want it, we'll be there.
Yeah, but you know, the other side of it too is I'm going to give you what you give me.
Yep.
If you give me the commitment, I will give you the commitment, and you will get back what you give me. You
Absolutely.
Sorry, people, if you put in the hours, you put in the time, you will get the results. If you don't put in the time, you ain't going to get the results. And it's that simple. And I think that's across the board, no matter what sport you do, no matter what you do in life. If you don't put in the time, you don't put in the effort, you are not going to get the results you think you're going to get. You know,
Absolutely.
Again, to go back to what you said earlier, just on the martial arts side, you know, simple movement, simple stretching, it releases the endorphins, makes you feel good. It takes part of the depression away, it takes part of anxiety away. You know, simple things. A good martial arts instructor will teach you how to relax in a situation, control the fight or flight. You know, it's all these things that when you look for a martial art, when you look for a school that suits you, it has to be such a well-rounded school. How do you know it's a well-rounded school if you don't know what you're looking for? it's generally what you feel from the instructor when you shake his hand, or I shook hands with a martial arts instructor the other day, and he gave me this flimsy little one finger nearly handshake. Thought, wow, of anybody I expected. A martial arts instructor, give me a handshake. Give me make me believe that you are what you are. It doesn't have to break my hand with a handshake, but a handshake, as you know, can speak volumes.
Absolutely, absolutely, my brother. I'm gonna leave you with this, and I want to wish you the best. And when you're ever in the States, give us a call. Maybe we can bring you down to Texas when you're over here.
Listen, I would love to get to Texas. I got so many places I got to see. Unfortunately, June just gone. June 21, I was supposed to be in North Carolina, Connecticut, Florida, and Nashville, visiting some people. With lockdowns, I couldn't make it. Unfortunately, one of the guys in North Carolina has since passed away. A very good martial arts brother, and he was one of the true warriors. Unfortunately, cancer got the better of him. When I get there next time, you will see me. You will see me.
We will. And condolences to the family. And we'll see you soon. We'll continue moving forward, and we'll do it again. It was great. It was a great talk. It was a great conversation, because it's folks that have, what I see here is two individuals from across the pond that have been around, have seen many come and go, and it's the same problems on both sides of the pond that's going on. But yep, the same ones, the same problems. Until next time, my brother, you be safe, and folks, you stay safe. Peace.
Thank you.